Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again with the next build of the Harvest League, and this time around it is Frostblades with the White Wind Dagger, which was slightly buffed in this patch, and it was always kind of okay, but never that good, and it looks quite a lot better right now, though still never really going to be the best choice, I don't think, but it does let you build into quite a lot of damage while also having a lot of evasion and dodge. So with the dagger, you don't have an offhand, or you try not to use an offhand, so you can get lots of cold damage, lots of dodge, and just play it a little bit differently, or build it rather a little bit differently. Overall, it is still holding up pretty damn well by this point, which in this character's life is like 75 or something like that. Map level 75, sorry, tier 7s, 8s, whatever, something like that. Frostblades has never really had a problem with clearing. It's always been a very nice skill to level with, been a very nice skill to map with. The biggest issue it has is with single target, and I'm not terribly sure I'll be fixing that 100%, but it looks like my damage will be respectable by the end, about a couple of million on single target. The point though is that Frostblades is still a thoroughly enjoyable skill to play while mapping, and on an assassin with this type of a setup, it is super freaking fast. It's going to be tough to top this one as my only third character of the league, but it will be tough to top this one on clear speed because Assassin gets so much movement speed and you just run around one-tapping entire screens every single time you right-click with Frostblades if you're using Ancestral Call as well. You can, of course, build into just Tribal Fury for an additional target and Gloves with an additional target and then not use Ancestral Call, but I'd rather focus on more damage with my gear and anoint and then just run Ancestral Call and swap in a pure single target skill like Ruthless, or gem, not skill, like Ruthless for actual boss fights, because that's where we're going to need the additional help. But additional target really does feel quite a lot nicer for many different situations, including some boss fights where you might want to be just a bit further away or just have to attack two targets at once. We'll see how we go, but so far it's been an absolute dream to play on what is a pretty damn low budget for a assassin, just wearing a White Wind and a few resist and damage pieces here or there, so you can definitely get it going without much. But as I said, Frostblade's biggest issue is getting single target, and typically that means investing more and more currency. So you can get Frostblades up to a mid-tier pretty damn cheap and nice, but to get it through the end game, typically you do need to invest. We'll have to wait and see how it goes, because White Wind is buffed and Assassin is pretty strong, so maybe it'll still hold up rather nicely. And at the moment I'm not using any cluster jewels. The new cluster jewel patch that's going to make them easier to roll is coming in sometime this week. Maybe when that happens we'll reevaluate the character and have a look at cluster jewels as well. It might make things quite a bit easier, but for now just sticking to it this way. Lots of movement speed, lots of dodge and evasion, which is a pretty damn strong defensive mechanic if you've never tried it. Of course, if you get hit, well, you might get hit pretty hard, but that happens very rarely, so it's holding up. We'll have to wait and see, eh? But we do freeze things, as you can see, and it's pretty damn useful, and we'll show you just how we've built this character so far as an assassin. So here is the current character, level 85, Peepo, Run Like the Wind. White Wind, Peepo runs an emote, Peepo Run Like the Wind. Yep. Level 85 assassin, and it is based around the White Wind Dagger. Mine is currently double corrupted with just some crit multi, but what you're looking for is the big cold damage. There's up to 15 attack speed, so I'm looking for anything like 14 or 15 attack speed. It goes from 1000 to 1500 evasion, so on the top end evasion would be nice, but really not that necessary. As much cold damage as you can get, and the dodge as high as you can. So there's quite a lot of rolls on it now, but just one that's above average should only cost a couple chaos. One that's on the high end is going to be like 30, 40 chaos, something like that. And the crit multi is nice because the character could use a bit of crit multi, and the fire damage currently does nothing, but if we want to use a Cinder Swallow Flask, then it activates the Ignite for us, so that can be rather nice too. As far as the rest of the gear is concerned, I mean, it's at the moment doing pretty good, but I guess we'll get to that in just a second. We picked Assassin because we want to have lots of crit, maintain power charges, and at the same time maintain elusive for the dodge buff as well. So we're trying to stack a bit of dodge here. The alternative to this entire character would have been a raider, but I've played a raider White Wind in the past. It was Spectral Throw, not Frostblades though, so I want to take a different approach and go Assassin. You get a lot of movement speed from this, you get a lot of crit, so overall crit's basically taken care of, and then we just fill out plenty of other things on the passive tree: damage, crit multi, life. That's what we're trying to do at the moment. So it's still a pretty normal passive tree, I think. It's just that it's taking dagger nodes, which aren't too commonly seen by most people. So you've got some leech dagger nodes over here. That takes care of your leech. Got plenty of attack speed and damage, some crit and crit multi over there. We are currently anointing from the shadows. It's pretty cheap and rather effective. So we might pick something different, but this is a good choice for now. Do have phase acro and acro, using 2 fight for survival thresholds. So as I mentioned, the big thing with Frostblades is the single target. So your clear is always going to be pretty damn good. You don't really have to scale the projectiles themselves much more than just the way you do normally. So you then want to kind of focus on the single target, which is the melee portion of the skill. The 2 of these jewels that gets you 15 penetration is going to be really nice. And ultimately your single target gems are going to be things like multi-strike and ruthless, because your melee damage is what you need more of. And this type of stuff won't scale the damage of your Frostblade projectiles, but that doesn't matter because they do good anyway. So the current links here on a 5 link are Frostblades, Inspiration, LE damage with attacks, so all of that scales both things, and so does Added Cold, scales both the melee and the projectile, and then we've got Ancestral Cold just to let us attack a little bit more. If we go for pure single target right now, we swap out Ancestral Call for multi-strike. If we get a 6th link, we are just all of a sudden multi-striking as a extra link. If you can only get 3 greens, then you get rid of something like multi-strike for hypothermia, and just swap it in for single target. For the most part, we run around without multi-strike very comfortably during maps, but if you want, you can put in multi-strike because it's not really any different. You're still running around and just one tapping most of the time, and sometimes you do need to attack a few extra times, but it's entirely like up to the situation. So yeah, currently a 5 link is doing well, but I think for single target in the end we're gonna need a 6th link. So I'm going to have to force a bit of luck to make that happen. Currently has not yet happened, but so far so good anyway. The chest itself, just a little temple chest. It's got life and resists. I think we had to do that because the character definitely needs a bit of life and resists. I've tried to get life everywhere else as much as possible. I crafted some Tailwind boots, which is pretty damn easy to do this league. So if you get a tier 2 harvest craft that rerolls your item with a crit modifier on there, and you put in some hunter boots that are eye level 75 or higher, there's only one crit mod on there, which is Tailwind. So you're just going to get Tailwind. This is one roll, and we happen to get pretty lucky. Got life, movement speed, crafted a couple of resists. So Tailwind boots, nice and taken care of. Got some temple gloves that are just damage against chilled enemies. So we're looking for life, the temple mod, and a spare suffix, so I crafted some attack speed. We can craft belts extremely easily this league as well. If you re-roll harvest with attack modifier on there, then you'll always get LE damage with attacks. It just depends on how big the roll will be, but I'm still going to try and craft another belt at the moment that just has life, resists, and then craft my own attack damage. I think I actually already crafted this one yesterday, just hadn't put it on yet. So we'll probably put that one on instead and craft LE damage with attacks. Got a Mark of the Elder, though I'm not using the entire thing yet because I don't have a shaped ring. Still trying to craft a ring so that we can have Assassin Mark, maybe some accuracy, maybe some resists, maybe some life. I'm keeping it pretty loose at the moment, but yeah, you want a shaper ring over here. You don't have to use Mark of the Elder, but I figured it was either use Mark of the Elder and a shaped ring, and then a really defensive chest, or go something slightly more offensive on my chest, like an Reeeeals or a Law Weave or some shit like that, and then use more defensive rings. But I think this was the cheaper and overall more damage option. Grab an amulet that has some crit multi, some early damage with attacks, life if you can, a little bit of int. This thing costs like 30c. Typically, these aren't very expensive. You can roll amulets with the harvest as well, but I think it's still probably better to buy them unless you're doing influence crafts. And then I got a Star Conjure that has +1 dash. Kind of whatever, but it's the only thing that I could really get on a Star Conjure, and it gives you a 3rd dash, which is kind of nice. It does let you dash just a little bit more. And then, of course, the White Wind. You can level with any crappy daggers, ungles, into some crafted, like, LE damage daggers. Up until the White Wind, you get carried pretty comfortably there with the Tabula. The gems we have here are currently Blood Rage, Herald of Ice, and Hatred. That's my reservation, and a level 2 Precision. Got an Ice Golem, and down here is faster attacks, Fortify, Whirling Blades, and Ancestral Protector. May end up changing it into a War Chief totem, because with Vile War Chief, it will help our single target quite a bit more. And then down here we have Frostbomb, Dash, Increased Duration, and Second Wind. The Second Wind does give Dash a 2nd charge, and of course a 3rd with this helm, but Second Wind also gives Frostbomb 2 charges. So that makes exposing enemies quite a bit easier, especially with increased duration attached. And then of course the link's over there, and our belt socket is a little bit of accuracy, life, and crit with attack speed. I think that's just about it for the character there so far. In my next few points, I'm going to try and explore a cluster, maybe get a large, couple of regular jewels, maybe get a medium into a life jewel. We definitely need to up our life count to about 5,500. We do have a lot of evasion and dodge in the end. Once elusive comes up especially, it basically caps dodge. So we're pretty defensive, even though it might not particularly look that way. Basically never dying, never getting hit, and having a decent amount of speed and evasion around that entire maneuverability. But that's it for now. Hopefully I've got good news for you that single target is not too bad in the next video. But for now, that's Frostblades, White Wind. Something for you to think about if you want to try out some White Wind action. You can do many different skills with it, but Frostblades seems to be paired nicely with it. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.